All right, we are here live at the not-so-sunny EDS 2025 conference in Wesley Chapel, Florida, which is a stone's throw away from Tampa. I am here with Rabbi Menachem Levine. Thank you so much for being here today.
Pleasure to be here.
Very excited. We missed each other because I was working with Joan Dachs, Bais Yaakov, which I'll have you introduce a little bit more about what you do. But I was working as a consultant in development with Rabbi Avram Brownstein, who was the executive vice president prior.
You still have a connection with him, right?
Yes. Oh, you cannot. Anyone who knows Rabbi Brownstein, you cannot not have a connection with him. Once you're connected with him, that is a pact for life. It's it forever.
If you were in America, you'd be eating matzahs. That's how he connects.
Yes.
Also. Okay.
Yes. Yes, it is, and you will definitely get many a story from him because he has many a story to share.
Storied career.
So yeah. So I was privileged to work with for almost 5 years, over 5 years, a little over 5 years, and a wonderful school, large school.
Yes.
I mean, it's a big one.
Really big.
Yeah. I mean, it's K through 12.
K through 8?
K through 8.
Really nursery through 8, and we're the largest Jewish school, I believe, for sure, from the East Coast after the East Coast, but very possibly, besides the Mid-Atlantic, the largest elementary in the country.
How many students in the?
We have over 1,600 children,
1,600
from nursery
kids.
to 8th grade.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I always felt like you were going from one capital campaign to another capital campaign.
And we still are.
You're still going from that's what happens. You know, if you build it, they will come. So
right.
So you finish a building campaign and then you're at capacity almost the day after.
Right now we have a dilemma because we need to have two capital campaigns. And we're trying to decide which one to do first: boys' campus or girls' campus. So
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because most normal schools have the issue of, will our capital campaign cannibalize our annual campaign? Mm-hmm. And in your cases, will our capital campaign cannibalize our capital campaign to cannibalize our annual campaign?
And we're a little bit interesting because we're really we're one organization, but we're really unique schools. So we have a boys division and a girls division, which are pretty much autonomous. So, but we have to raise the money for both. Right. And the nursery division.
They're separate visions. They're separate programs.
Visions, and some of it touches different parts of the community to an extent. Like the girls, we have a monopoly of like the more yeshiva, Hasidic community in Chicago, and the boys we don't. So, not necessarily does one equal the other.
Right. Interesting. Okay. Good. And you are the CEO.
CEO.
Okay.
Yes.
So it all rolls up to you.
All rolls up.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. It rolls up to you.
It all rolls up.
Okay, all right. So give me a little bit about your professional background.
Sure.
Personal, like where are you originally from? Where did you grow up?
Right.
Are you an out of towner?
I am a out of towner, Florida, Miami Beach, Florida.
Oh, very nice.
I mean, I was born in New York, but my family moved when I was 2.
Okay.
So I grew up in Miami Beach, Florida. I went through high school. I learned in Eretz Yisrael, learned in the Mir, went to Shar HaTorah in Queens. Lakewood, I was a Rosh Chabura in Lakewood, and then I did a little bit of a curveball, and from Lakewood, from BMG, being Rosh Chabura, I went to University of Pennsylvania Law School.
Oh wow!
Which was not the typical
it's not.
route.
No.
And when I was there, I'll just tell you very briefly. I besides having the opportunity to learn a lot of Torah and going to law school a little bit, I also was very involved in Kiruv. So I taught for the Esher Torah there, but I think more importantly, I started a very large Kiruv organization in the law school, became the largest club in the law school, and that really kind of set me on a path. Like, I enjoy this a lot more. Mm-hmm. Shmuel Kamenetsky at the time told me, you have to be a Rav. You're a Rav. You
got all the materials, all the being a Rav.
So then what was I to do? I loved Kiruv. I also love Rabbanus. I love learning. So the shul that I became a Rav in Silicon Valley in San Jose, their description, the Wolfson family was looking for this, their description of a Rav was a Lakewood rabbi with an Ivy League degree. So
and they weren't talking like metaphor or figuratively.
No, they had a vision. And the funny thing is, there is a certain percent of Lakewood that goes to, let's say, law school or even to an Ivy League law school, but none of them are going to Rabbanus.
Right.
They're going to big law firms.
So they were looking for a unicorn, and they found a unicorn. There was no other options.
Probably, yes. Yeah. And it was a good match. And I was there for 13 years.
Wow.
I was able to do a lot of very important things, a lot of fun stuff. And then at a certain point, your own children have to come first. Mm-hmm. And the same Gedolim who said, stay, you're being matzliach, really told me it's time to look. And long story, I ended up in Chicago. And we're, being involved in the larger school, and really has an impact on the whole Chicago. We have 300 from employees We have 680 families. We have
Wow.
over 1,600 children. So it was a great opportunity, and I'm enjoying what I'm doing now.
Wow, and how long have you been there now?
This is my 6th year.
6th year. Okay, very nice. And look, anyone who's either in Rabbanus or as a CEO or an executive director of school, that's like a lifetime. Like you should get a Rolex watch by year 6.
Yes.
It used to be in the old days, right? The old days, you work somewhere for 30, 40 years, then you get the Rolex.
Right.
But I feel like nowadays, if you're not changing over real quick, that you already are there.
It's amazing how quick people are in and out of organizations, in Rabbanus as well. I mean, people come and go. So yes, I would agree with you on
Yes,
that.
yes, wow.
It's a good sign.
Yeah, no, it is. Okay, so what is some of the because of your background, both as a in law school, as a rabbi of a synagogue, also Kiruv. Now that you're at JDBY, as someone who's in CEO, you have. Look, our audience is very development focused, so we're looking about day school sustainability, growth. What are some of the things that you've brought to the table? I'm sure when they're bored, it's always fundraising is always part of the mix when they're looking for new leadership to come in. When you were coming in, what was it that you were able to bring to the table that might have been something that was not there before? Maybe you were able to give it some booster rockets. What were some of the things that you were bringing to the table?
Sure. When I first decided to start looking for a shtetl position out of law school, I met with several individuals. One of them was Nate Siegel.
Okay.
So Rabbi Nate Siegel says to me, I have a perfect position for you. You'll be a Rosh Kollel in Kendall, Florida. I'm from Miami Beach. So I knew Kendall, Florida. And he was describing it to me. I said, listen, this position is 70% fundraising. I am totally not interested in this. I'm totally not interested. So he said to me, okay, I understand, but I want you to know one thing. You want to build? If you want to build, you're going to have to fundraise.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as building Torah without fundraising. So, and when I ultimately took the position in Silicon Valley, others said, don't worry, you won't have to fundraise, and ultimately when I went to build an Eruv, when I wanted to build a
I laugh because it's never the case. Right. It never plays out that way.
Well, you're the Rav, you're the Rav.
You're the face of it. You have to.
Right. So, so I ended up fundraising a lot, ended up getting involved in the schools a lot, and which is interesting in Chicago, since you know JWYTT, Chicago, the 2 presidents of the school are nursing home guys, a lot of Chicago. So I was never a CEO of a school. They kind of had this vision. Listen, he's a successful rabbi. He writes, he speaks, and he fundraised. He can do this. Like people who think who are in the box can never envision that. But, big people can envision that. So I'd say one of the things I when you come to a place like Chicago, first of all, certain cities, if you're in Orlando or Tampa, for example, okay, so you can fundraise from outside of your community. But if you're in Chicago, why are you coming to? Why are you coming?
Stay in your own backyard.
Certain cities, Toronto, like why are you coming to us? Chicago, why are you coming? You have the money there. But at the same time, Chicago has a lot of meisters and the same donors. So like when I came, part of my vision was to expand the base, really to look how to do the base. And so one of the things that I truly believe is it's if you have a Kiruv background. I have a learning background, a Kiruv background. So Kiruv, the skill set you have for that and the vision you have for that really could translate really, really well for fundraising and for development as a whole.
Okay, how?
Okay, so let's say, in general, first of all, just if I was looking to hire a development person, I would love a Kiruv person. Why would a Kiruv person be great? First of all, you ever involved in Kiruv at all, by the way? Fascinating.
I mean, we work with a lot of organizations, and some of them are Jewish outreach.
Okay, you would be good at it, by the way. I can tell.
Okay, I'd love to hear. So maybe I'll audit myself after you give me the description. I'll say or nay.
So the first thing, if you want to do Kiruv, you have to love people.
Yeah.
So people who do Kiruv love all types of Jews.
Right.
Your vision is, what I love them. How can I help them?
Right.
What can I do for them? Number 2 is when you're doing Kiruv, it's a process. Okay.
Right. There's no instant gratification.
There's no instant gratification, and if you push too quickly, you go. It actually you lose the person,
right.
Or you push yourself back. I very often I still write for Aish. I still give a Zoom share to California, and I still have a lot of one-on-ones even today. Some of them are donor one-on-ones, but they're not yet from. So I always tell the person who's starting on their path that Torah and Torah observance is kind of like lifting weights. if you'd go into a gym and you see a big dumbbell and you try to pick it up right away, so
you'd hurt yourself,
or you won't be able to do it,
right.
or you'll give up. So you have to take a smaller dumbbell. You do a lot of reps, and you build yourself up. And so if you're coaching, if you're the kiruv coach or the rabbi, the educator, so the people you're working with, you have to illustrate that to them. Some people build muscle really quick. Right. And the same thing really is in fundraising. When you're dealing with a person, you have to build a relationship. So you love people. And that you realize that you can't go quickly always, although some people, even in kiruv, there's some people, a lady can cover hair right away, another person takes 6 years. But the same lady who has the hard time can cover her hair easily has another issue.
Right.
So everyone
has their thing.
But there is obviously certain people you can go a little bit quick with, as you well know.
Yeah.
But it's that skill set. Also, to do kiruv, you need to believe in the person. Right. You have to see the potential in the person. You have to believe in yourself.
Right.
So when you have that kind of reality, so when you're looking to do kiruv, you look all around you. You don't just look at the people and you're like, I'm living in Peterson Park. So I know the people around, but you want to do more. So you start looking out in Chicago and the North Shore.
Yeah.
What could I do? I'm on LinkedIn. I actually use LinkedIn a lot, not for the nursing home crowd, albeit some of them appreciate it. Some of them could care less. But some of them do appreciate it. It makes you more broad-minded and it makes you more accomplished. But there are a lot of other people who give them content that speaks to them, and then you get them. It's like you table with them, and you get them on board a little bit. Right. So like that desire to reach out in a little bit different, in a little more unconventional way, both in the crowd to deal with, not the typical people you would ask for a more yeshivish school. Our base is the center right of Chicago.
Sure.
So we have a large base of built-in donors. We have a large base of people that are not, and the way you'll reach them is the same way you do kiruv, essentially.
Right. Well, it's really interesting. I've been formulating more recently my own ideas on development when it comes to intentional fundraising, how you connect with donors, that I think will play really nicely into this. I've been saying a lot lately that when you talk about if you're in Orthodoxy, we daven 3 times a day. We pray 3 times a day, which means that what is our big challenge when you do that all the time is doing things by rote. You're not being intentional. There's no kavana, right? We're not putting a focus on because we do it, blah, 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 we say all the words because we do it over and over again. To someone who goes to shul once a year, Yom Kippur, you don't have to tell that person have kavana. Right? You don't have to tell that person that because they go once a year. When they sit down, they're like, okay, I'm having my conversation with God. I'm introspective. I start thinking about the things I did to hurt my friends, my family. But you're in synagogue once a year. You don't need to tell that person to have kavana. But someone who does it all the time, you're the person that needs to have that conversation because we do it all the time. So tzedakah has a similar dynamic. And I know when my background was in Federation, and we taught, and I never understood it. It was like, okay, you're going to have a Jewish conversation with them. Like, what the heck is a Jewish conversation? And I realized soon after that, if you're not in the world of giving, like we do with Meiser and Matanos Levionim and Kimcha de Pischa and 18,000 crowdfunding campaigns, and you give to my thing, quid pro quo, I got to give to your thing, and this is all we do all the time. We're not intentional with how we do that kind of stuff. So when we talk about the idea of bringing that approach to kiruv of bring something that's fresh, and we actually have something that we can learn from the way they are, is saying it's fresh to them. So the idea of saying when we meet with somebody who is not necessarily a donor and we have an opportunity, so instead of us going in like a lot of us do or are guilty of, we finally get the meeting and then what do? We vomit up all the programs and services. We do this, hoping something lands, right? Hoping we connect to something and we ask them for money. But you see in the secular world, right, when the universities and hospitals, how do they raise money? They'll basically say, so I know you're very philanthropic. What are the things that you're giving to? Why is that your thing?
Right.
The why is a very powerful question because you say, what's your kavana? What's your intention behind it? And then they go, well, I had a trauma when I was a child, and then they start crying, and you're uncovering the stuff. But we're not necessarily conditioned like that because it's not our own experience because we're just so used to baking it right into our everyday living. But the idea of saying, to talk to somebody who it's not their normal part of the experience. So like you said, if you approach someone it's kiruv and it's their first foray into something, that's an exciting opportunity to say, why is this your thing?
I'll tell you an interesting story, which is I had to build an Eruv in San Jose. So this took
I'm sure that was a contentious issue in general. I don't think it's ever not be.
10 years. It was when we were the last.
You never make friends.
San Jose is the 10th largest city in the country. We were the last of the 10 largest cities to get an Eruv. we'd have a very long podcast. I'll tell you the history of how I actually had to get non-firm attorneys pro bono from the biggest law firms to fight the state, not because of anti-Semitism, just California bureaucracy. You can only imagine.
You want to stick a wire where and how and
on
what?
the state highways. We had to go up to the federal government. We met with the governor. I mean, it was it was a great story. But after all was said and done, it was a $500,000 project. So, we were 60 to, by the time I left, 90 families in San Jose. We had to fill the Shoal school. Like, you have to expand your base over here. So here I'm going out to ask people to do an Eruv. So I remember one guy, it was Maurice. He was a Jew who had grown up somewhat traditional, married a very reformed lady, 3 kids. 2 were intermarried. The other one was totally off. His family was totally disconnected, but he still had that Jewish pulse. So I sat down with him, and I said, could you build an Eruv? He says, what's an Eruv? So I explained to him an Eruv, and then he looks at me and he says, Rabbi, you want me to give money to a legal loophole as opposed to the poor in Israel? Like, it really throws it out. Poor opposed to Israel, to the Holocaust. So when you're in the Kiruv mindset, what do you always do? Like, you always want to find, like you just elaborate upon, how you could relate to them.
The common ground.
The common ground, what speaks to you. I'll tell you another interesting story maybe in a moment, just on that note. So this guy, Maurice, I said to him, listen, Maurice, it bothers you that your children are not Jewishly connected. So I want you to explain to you something. When it's Shabbos, when Shabbat, Saturday, and your kids have no clue it's Shabbos, they watch us walking on the street, and it reminds them. And I said, when it's Yom Kippur, they don't even know it's Yom Kippur. And you know that, Maurice. What's the only reminder on a Tuesday that's Yom Kippur? When they see us walking
in white down the street.
Like, what's going on? Why? What's going on today? Why are they doing that? I said, Maurice, if we have an Eruv, they'll see more than that. And I believe everything I said. And
by the way, if it's not authentic, they would see right through it.
And that's really what Kiruv is, because you're not just telling them lies. You love them. Not your first time you love them. You believe in the message. You believe in them, and that he was able to relate it
because it was related on his terms.
But so let's go back. If I would take a yeshivish guy, let's say Maurice was living in Chicago, you wouldn't go to Maurice because he's not going to do an Eruv. And if you would go to him, you'd probably say halacha. When you're thinking,
it's like going to somebody who's going to be interested in saving the whales, and you're like, that's totally not relevant to what we're doing here, and like, why he's not even a prospect. We just it would be a brachal of atala. Like, let's not do this.
So it just hit me as I was telling you, I was in. There's not that many restaurants in the Bay Area. Which
it's not a shock.
It's not a shock, right?
No.
But I remember that many years ago, and just to talk about the common denominator in Kiruv, the Jewish Family Services had a auction to have lunch with a megastar. That's a fundraiser.
A big Silicon Valley
guy? They had 3 Nobel Prize winners.
Oh, okay, wow.
Like really Stanford, Berkeley Nobel Prize winners.
Who's who?
And who's who. And like, some of them were Jewish voices for like really left-wing.
Of course.
So I started looking into this. There was one guy, his name was Bob. And Bob was a huge donor to Hillel. He was in the Computer Hall of Fame of Silicon Valley, an inventor, brilliant Mensa. And he also, I noticed, was like the Republican Jewish Coalition, AIPAC. So I said, all right, this guy has potential. I mean, the chasm, the gap is. So I bought lunch with Bob. This is 16 years ago. And what I didn't know when I bought lunch with Bob, he was intermarried.
Very little connection.
With someone who had a conversion which we wouldn't necessarily hold of. But we had this common ground of, traditional values, more conservative politics perhaps, and that became a relationship for 16 years. We've continued that. Now, my goal in Kiruv is to do what you can with each person, right? The same type of relationship. So
it's also a challenge because I think that a lot of times we'll connect with someone on a personal level, and then like I've worked with I've had a Ish rabbi come to me and say I've been learning as a study partner with this guy for 12 years, and I don't know how to turn this into a donor. And I said, well, the reason why that is very simple. You have a personal connection with them, and none of the experience that this person has had has rolled up to the mission of the organization. They don't know what the work is you're doing. You could send someone a cheesecake for Shavuot. You can give them mishloach manos, right? You can do all these different things, but it doesn't roll up to the mission. So the idea of saying, like, connecting with someone on conservative values, that's a good way to make an initial connection, but then you need to be able to say, okay, if I want to make this person a champion of my cause, then I need to start giving them a steady diet of the stuff that we're doing within our organization, within a framework of the things they care about. So if they care about, for example, Jewish identity, even if though, like, because let's say their own history, it's a cautionary tale. Like, I've seen what happens when Jewish identity is not done right, and you say, now I can walk into a preschool class and see kids learning Aleph Bet and foundational skills and say, wow, I wish my own kids had that. And sometimes it's something like that. So you might say Jewish identity, okay, well, we're like, we couldn't be further apart. Your kids are intermarried and our kids are in Cheder learning in school. But the answer might be, no, that is going to be the thing that connects on, because for him, he says, I need to kind of get a do-over in a way. Like, I need to find a way to educate the next generation of kids, because my own kids weren't able to have that. And you can help satisfy that. You're doing them. It's about their needs. I think that's a major piece. Is like, and I think you said this when you said what are the good characteristics of someone who's in Jewish outreach and to be a good fundraiser is you have to be focused on the needs of the other person. If you're I, me the entire time, it's not. It's like going on a date with someone and talking about yourself the entire time. It's not going to be the most effective tool. You're going to go back to the matchmaker, the shadchan, and say he spoke about himself the entire time.
Right. I guess that Eish Rabbi, was he looking to fundraise or was he looking to learn with the person?
I can't even remember. No. He was learning with the person for years and wanted to say, like, I would want to try to raise money from them. And just couldn't figure out an avenue to do that. And it's understandable.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I will say, even it goes both ways, because, like, with Chabad, and I actually learned with the Chabad rabbis, a friend of mine, I learned in the kollel. But Chabad's challenge is that they're dependent sometimes on their donors, so they can't push them. Sometimes that balance between, pushing versus asking for money, so they have to pick sometimes. So
right.
It's hard to pick, to do both.
Right.
If you ask them for money, they've already they've exempted themselves of the money.
Right.
But if you want to learn, to be more religious, so that for sure is going to be a challenge.
It's funny. I mean, I just watched the Kinos HaShluchim, the convention, and it's like I always get emotional because just the sheer number of Shluchim that are out there is incredible. And yeah, I mean, they're definitely the ones who fit that. But it's like it's like there's so many of them, and they all have the strengths and weaknesses I've seen. And there are ones that are definitely like that, and there are ones who get it, and it comes naturally to them. Like anything else. Like,
right,
yeah. But yes, definitely there is definitely that challenge in general, because there's like feeling of like, if I approach him as a donor, will that be too aggressive as it relates to my relationship with them, and how do I strike that balance where I don't feel there's a way to do it, and some people are more adept at handling it, and some are not. But I think you're right. Like, if you push too hard and there's things like that, you have to meet people where they're at and make within their comfort zone.
Right. Like, look, you're lifting weights. You got to find them where they are, and but it's I think it's two steps, as you just pointed out. It's getting that relationship curative-wise, or perhaps in this case. And then being able to ask after.
Yeah, I think what you see at university and hospitals is the experience of qualifying a donor before you say that they're going to become a donor, right? It's not that every single person is fit for your organization, but let me go and talk to them. Let's, it's like an opportunity to profile them and sit down with them and say, what do you care about? What are your priorities? And if there's a complete misalignment, you're like, okay, you know what? Even if this person sits next to me in synagogue and they're worth $100 million, if they're interested in saving the whales and I can't find any connection there, it'd be a mistake to spend my energy, even on the guy sitting right next to me. It'd be better for me to go a degree of separation further of a board member who goes golfing with a guy on Saturday, and that guy might be a better alignment. I should spend my time there instead of the guy sitting next to me. So I think just kind of auditing, on the heels of an initial conversation with no expectation other than I want to get to know you. You can uncover some great things.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'd say it's maybe you should write a book on the correlation between the two, and you might turn a lot more people into fundraisers because they realize hey, I've been good. I could have been good at this the entire time.
You should know, as I said, if I had to hire a fundraiser, if a person was involved in Kiruv and was successful, they'd be a great. It's not a hard translation to do.
No, I hear that. Yeah, as you were describing, I'm like, I think I could do this. But my problem would be like, now I have to be held to the higher standard. I have to,
That's a good thing to have.
I know. They say, like you say, do as I say, not as I do. Like I have to move away. There we go. Exactly. You have to okay, you know what? That means I have to behave. Okay, fine. All right. I really appreciate Rabbi Menachem Levine. Thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yes, and I look forward to obviously continuing hearing great things what's going on out of Chicago. It's hard not to. Usually, both the community is. I got to tell you, one of the things I love about working in Chicago is that people in general have an attitude of raising all ships. In other words, if you are a Eric Crown family, you're still maybe supporting the Weizner Cheder, you're supporting Joan, Dachs, Bais, Yaakov, and even if it's not your priority tzedakah and you're not giving the highest amount, people do tend to cross-pollinate, and that's because everyone wants everyone to
they want to build a community.
You want to build a community,
right?
And that's a wonderful thing. And you could be nursing home owners who are in quote unquote competition, but they learn bechavrusa with each other, and you do not see this in the New York market. It's not like that. I can tell you horror stories. It's not like that, but it makes Chicago special. So it's you're operating in fertile ground, which is a real blessing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.
All right.
Shkoyach. Pleasure. Nice.